For today's live, I plan on painting some light blue florals. So I'm going to pick just a few of these handmade paints and these light blues. They're made from different plants, but they go pretty well together. So it's a little bit of a swatching exercise to see what the differences are. And it'll help me figure out exactly which of these light blues is my favorite. So I thought I'd do that together with you. So far that was Hawthorn Berry. And this is Vervain from the Vampire Protection palette. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that is really pretty, and it's almost got a sky blue quality to it. And I've got arugula, frosted arugula. Over here. Right, abs, it's a really pretty color. Okay, so that's a little bit more on the gray, greenish side of the blue. That's really pretty. All right, let me get back into this Vervain. So I've got one flower. I've got plum, which is a deeper blue. Put that back here. So these are just my favorite go-to loose florals when I don't know what else to paint. Fluffy petals. Leave some white space in the middle. There's something about blue flowers too. That is such a beautiful blue. Okay. Let's see. Thinking about what else I can add to these. Could add some little filler flowers as well. Yes, leaves. I usually save the leaves until the very end. That's my last step. Let me grab some of this purple. Maybe some really tiny purple blossoms in here as well. Yeah, I almost went for lavender, actually. I'm just keeping it very simple with the shapes that are very similar. Liz, you and I are thinking the same things. A little butterfly. Ooh, I did paint a butterfly yesterday, and it's got me in the mood. So I'm going to turn this one into a butterfly right here. So now that's going to be my butterfly. Let's do do another little purple thing right there. Okay, now it's time for some stems and leaves. Thank you, Liz. This is my all-time favorite green from Boulder Colors, this buckthorn berry green. I'm so happy I got it in a larger size. I only had a dot of it. TT, this is paints made from plants. These are all from Boulder Colors. As soon as I get these stems and leaves done, I'll show you the paints in more detail. Yep, handmade paints, my absolute favorites. Okay, a couple more stems. Let's have this one here. And while I'm thinking about this, it's adding the stems that I have to be the most careful about and concentrate the hardest, because I will forget to add one to one and just finish up a painting and then look at it later and be like, oh, I missed one. How could I have missed it? Okay, so got some stems. I'll add a few little leaves. Really delicate ones. Isn't that shade of green beautiful? I want to add a little bit more here. I didn't actually make these paints. This is a handmade artist. She makes these using the laking process. So there's alum involved. It really is sort of like witchcraft to me. Let's see. Absolute magic. Her whole family is involved with making these paints. Okay, I think I'm good with them. So let me show you the palette that I'm working with. I used plum and elder over here in the Fantastic Plants palette, buckthorn for my leaves and stems, vervain, and then these two are just bonus paints. They're not in a palette. I'm gonna get this butterfly done. So I'm gonna add a little of the Phoenix Ash. Okay. This is the third day in a row that I'm painting a butterfly, and I'm not complaining. I love it. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. Okay. You should probably have a few little legs maybe one more in the back. There we go. I'll give his wings a little bit more definition. That's a better looking wing there. A little yellow. Well, that is a little difficult with purple because he'll get kind of muddy, but if I lift some of this off, he can have some yellow spots or something like that. But not while the purple's wet. Some morning glories. Ooh, morning glories are beautiful. Yes, I think so. How about tomorrow? I feel like those might even look really good with ink. Some inky detail around them. Okay. All right. Now I'm looking at my flowers again. They might look really good inked, so I'm not going to go and add any dark centers. I'll show you what I have in store for them. So these florals, I left that center white, giving it some white space in some places, and I went back with some ink and gave a little bit of definition to the petals. So that's all the loose watercolor first, and then going in later with the ink, figuring out where my petals are. So that's my plan for these. I think the 3 main blue ones, I'll ink like that, give them the defined centers, give the petals some definition, and then leave the rest like this loose watercolor without any ink. So that's what I'm going to do for those. I think I have time for one more painting. I'm feeling maybe a rose. I think I want to use this Wandwood palette. So maybe a rose and purple, or even willow. Willow would look really good. And then something around it. So I'm going to switch out this Hawthorne palette. TDS. So I have an Etsy shop, Palacios Paints. Pretty much any of my paintings that haven't already been sold are up for grabs. Some of them have metallic details, some of them have ink. Whatever your style is, I'm sure I have something if you like this. So lots of different sizes and options as well. This one is the paper that I love the most. So I think I have most paintings that have this type of texture painting with the dry brush. Most of them kind of look like that in this size, just because I adore this paper, so I have so much of it and I paint with it often. But I switched to this kind of paper. It's a different type of texture to it, so I just don't have as many in this particular size. But let's get to that rose. Because I feel like I haven't painted them in a little bit, and I always get afraid that I'm going to get rusty. So for this, I'll move that so that you can see the colors. I'll do a willow rose, maybe an elder rose next to it. I'm going to try and use all these colors. They're all new to me. I haven't painted with them yet, so I'm excited to see what they can do. Okay, so let's do a nice big rose in the center. We start with those very sketchy looking curves trying to keep it balanced, and then with a wet brush, draw some of that out. Well, gardening is an art in itself, I think. Tell us about your garden. What do you have in it? What's blooming right now? I've got zinnias that have popped. Daisies look like they can go anytime. Thanks, Angie. Like I say, absolutely love painting roses, but if it's been a little bit, I feel like I'll lose the muscle memory. And every rose I paint is a little bit different. Let's get back in that center. Zinnias, roses, tick flowers, morning glories. Okay, beautiful combinations. Okay. While this is still wet, I'll get this. Elders, actually, it's made of holly. Jay, you could paint flowers. It just takes practice. I've been painting for 3 years now, so don't compare yourself to this for sure. You have 2 different kinds of zinnias, the big and the small. Ooh, very nice. I think they might be my current favorite flower. Okay, so I've got both of you asking me the same thing. 3 years. I've been painting for 3 years. I'm so glad to hear that, Allie. Just dropping in a little bit more color here. I had a watercolor kit and I didn't use it. It was kind of on the back burner. I knew it was there somewhere, but I'm a teacher, so I'm kind of always busy and never have time for myself and my hobbies, and I wait until summer to do things like read and watch movies at my own pace and all of that. So when we had the pandemic shut down schools, I finally had a bit of time in between making videos to try out hobbies. I took a free online class. So it's just videos that you could paint along to. And I fell in love with painting flowers. I've been painting ever since. And even though I've been painting the same sort of subject for years, it still doesn't seem old. My style has evolved. Oh, thank you, Lee. I say it's practice, but I appreciate that. Yes, I do take the summer to recharge, and I'm sure there's classes that are either by you, local community college classes, or you can find lots of classes online now. You don't need to spend a lot. It could be an expensive hobby if you really get into watercolor, just because paper, things like that, but you don't need a lot of colors. You don't need a lot of things to start. Absolutely not, Erin. Absolutely not. I did not think I had a creative bone in my body before I just started. So I told you I was a teacher. I'm still a chemistry teacher, and I definitely thought I had that analytical side of my brain, and that was it. I didn't draw. Now I find myself like doodling flowers and things in my spare time. But that's only since I started painting. Jay, I would suggest painting small, like cutting your watercolor paper into small little pieces. Work with sections like even cutting this in half. Do something mini, right? I think it takes the pressure off, right? You don't have a huge piece of paper that's blank that you feel like I'm not going to get it right. Try watching tutorials, maybe. AAV, you're so right. We all have that artistic side. I agree with that. You have to feed it sometimes. Right, Erin? I agree with you. Watercolor has become my go-to. I have gouache. I don't really paint with it. I tried. I came back to watercolor. My mom was an oil painter, so I still have her oil paintings in the house. But I've turned her into a watercolor artist too. All right. I spent a long time on my leaves. I really like that little extra definition to them. But I think it could use something else. This is such a fall looking palette, but let's move on to this yellowish golden color. Add some of these in there. I'm gonna spread that pigment out. Could be berries, but I think I'm gonna go with some type of loose floral. Yes, I do paint with my mom, yes. Ooh, an alcohol marker person. I've seen some really cool things with that medium, but I've never even thought about trying it. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of green in there. Again, this sort of greenish gold that I have from wormwood and lily. Oh, I really love how these florals complete this one. Thanks, Erin. Okay. There's so many of you that have joined for this. Thanks for watching. Do we think this is done now? I really like it. I know they're just these two huge flowers, but I enjoyed exploring those colors. I think they look cute together. It was nice to paint roses again. Always feels too long since the last time I painted roses. I love this little bit of peachy golden color that we have. All right. So what I'm going to do is I will end the live. I'm going to go add a little bit of ink to these, see how that looks afterwards. And morning glories. I'll be back tomorrow around 4 p.m. Eastern, and I'll paint some morning glories with you. It'll be a first, so I'm excited to see what they'll look like. Thank you guys for chatting with me. Thank you, and thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.